Welcome to Azure Reference Architecture series. In this episode, we are going to discuss how to deploy websites and APIs to Azure App Services. Here is the scenario for this episode. So you as a Azure Cloud Engineer being asked to provision or create the Azure websites and apps for hosting the websites and apps. So you are going to create two app service plans with multiple websites and also the microservices and deploy the apps or APIs into the app service plan. So the objective here is the list of labs we are going to work as part of this episode. First, we will create a web app using the Azure portal, and then create the API app. And then we are going to create the RM template script for the websites and also RM template scripts for the APIs, because we are not going to use the, in case if you want to provision the same services in the test or production. So these RM templates are going to be helpful. And also prepare the source code for publishing into the Azure, and same thing, prepare the APIs and deploy to the Azure App Service using the Visual Studio. Same thing, APIs deploy to the Azure App Service using the Visual Studio. And then finally, we will create the CI/CD pipeline for the website, CI/CD pipeline for the API, and also CI/CD pipeline for the RM templates. And then finally, we will see how to configure some of the app settings inside the Azure App Services. So this is the agenda for this episode. If you are new to this series, I've already created a couple of videos on this Azure Reference Architecture series. So this is the application high-level requirement. I'm going to create multiple apps, multiple APIs. So these are my APIs used inside this app. So let me quickly run through the app. So this is the application I'm talking about, which is hosted in the Azure cloud. I'm going, just for the demo, I'm going to show to make it real scenario. You're not going to have one application, so you might have more than one applications. So in that case, I will consider two applications and then 6 to 7 microservices going to be created and deployed as per this episode. So that's the scenario, and the agenda we already looked at. This is the agenda for this lab. Let's begin with creating the web application in the Azure portal. If you are completely new and want to learn, create the new Azure portal account, so I've already created another video. So you can take a look at this, how to set up the new Azure account. So the prerequisites here is I'm assuming you already have the Azure portal account and then Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code for writing the RM templates. So let's log into the website, the Azure portal. So these are the APIs. These are the apps going to sit inside the app service plan. So I've already created using the RM template, but I will be showing quickly how to create the same stuff from the scratch. So if you go to the home, you can click on the create new. What I'm going to do for the first is create the API website using the portal. So you can search either web app, or you can go to the web and select the web app. So this will show you the wizard for selecting the subscription or the resource group. Either you can use the existing resource group or create the new resource group. And then you are going to enter the app name here. So I'm going to use this as the app name. For publish, you can select either code or the Docker container. So I will be making the Docker container related websites videos later, but for now, this is going to be part of the code. And the runtime stack. So I can select, I'm selecting the .NET 6, which is the latest version of the .NET runtime stack. So I'll be using the Windows one. So you can go with the Linux or the Windows. I'm going to use the West US as the region location. Here, this is the app service plan, which is going to be which will be used for running this website. So I'm using the existing app service plan I've already created. So if you want to create the new one, you can give the new name and then say deploy. This is for the continuous deployment. So for now, I will disable the continuous CI/CD provisioning part of the Azure. And then the next step is this is related to the APM, the application performance management. So you can provision the application insights as part of the API or the app creation so that you can monitor your application traffic live in the application insights. So I'm going to keep the same name as the app or the website and then click on next. So the next is the tags. So if you want to add tags, I've already created multiple videos on the tags. So either you can skip or enter the tags. So before creating web app, make sure that you review everything is correct here and then click on create. So once you create the app service, it will look exactly like whatever the app service plan I have created previously. So this is the app service plan used for websites. So I've created two app service plans, one for the websites and the other one for the APIs. So this is the Linux version of operating system. There are two websites hosted inside the app service plan. You can, if you want to scale up, auto scaling, scale out, those features can be explored here. So this is how you are going to create app service plan for websites. And let me show you the second one, creating API app using the Azure portal. So if you want to create API app, just like you created the website, you can create the API app. The only difference here is you see the API and the app. These are the APIs. So the icons for the Azure icons are also different for the APIs, and these are for the apps. So it is exactly the same as web app. The only difference here is you can host the RESTful APIs. These are specific to the API. So if you want to create the new API, click on create new. And the same thing you can search with API app. Once you select that, you see the different icon for the API app, click on create. And the rest of the steps are going to be exactly the same as web app. So you select the resource group and you are going to create the, give the name of the API. So let's say I'll call this as feedback service. You can, same thing, either you can go with the Docker or the non-Docker approach. Runtime stack, again, I'm going to select the .NET 6, which is latest Windows, and then say West US, and then select the app service plan. This time I'm going to select the different app service plan or create the different app service plan because my APIs and apps are isolated as per this blueprint. If you have not looked at the blueprint, so I'm going to create app tier and web tier separately for the app service plans. If you are hosting inside the app service environment, which is isolated one, so you can keep both the app service plans inside the same app service environment. So I've already created a couple of videos prior to that. If you are new to app service environment or app service plan, so you can look at some of those videos I've created here. So this is the app service here. I've selected the same thing. You can disable the CI/CD creation as part of the web app or API app. And this is the application insights resource name. And then finally, you can say review and create the resource. So that's how you're going to create the API app. So let me quickly go to the API app service plan to show you that how it looks like for already created one. So you see there are 6 APIs created in the same app service plan, and all these app services or APIs are created using the RM template. So that's our next topic. So if you want to again scale up or scale out, these are the options. So this is the free tier. There is no charge for this one. I have discussed the pricing tier for the app service plans in a previous video. So you can look at those previous videos for understanding the app service plan pricing tiers. Now next, moving to the next topic, which is creating RM template script for websites and RM template script for APIs. So whatever the architecture I'm talking about as part of this series, which is pretty much will be used for small scale, the startups or the mid scale applications where you can post multiple websites, multiple APIs inside the separate app service plans. So I've created RM template projects. I discussed these RM template projects in the previous videos, and this is the folder I'm using for app service plan. This app service plan doesn't have the app service environment, so it's a isolated app service plan without any app service environment. So let's quickly take a look at the script, which is already created to save some time. So this script will have all the app service plans, app services, also the APIs. So if you look at here in the website, the JSON outline, so you can see this is the tagging. So I'm going to keep the tagging at the beginning of every script. So the tags, for example, if you go to the Azure resources, any of the resources you select, you will see the tagging applied here. What is the application name? Who approved it? So business unit, cost center, DR. So you can add as many tags you want for each resources. So that's going to be part of my RM template script. And then next one is the resource group name, and which is going to read through this function runtime, whatever the resource group I select, part of the CI/CD. This is the app service plan. So I've given plan 1, plan 2, plan 1 for web tier, plan 2 for app tier. This is my pricing tier. So if you are creating a separate pricing tier for plan 1, you may want to call this plan 1 SKU or plan 2 SKU, so that you can have a different pricing tier. It makes sense to have a different pricing tier, one for app service plan, the second one for the APIs. And this is the runtime stack, which is used part of the, so again, you can have multiple runtime times. So just for example, I'm showing everything is a .NET Core based here. So I have same language. The next one is the web app 1 name. This is the web app 1 name. This is the web app 2 name. So if you have 10 websites, let's say you are going to copy paste and give a sequence number. And so here I'm giving the application name. So accordingly you can give. So the reason I'm giving the sequence, I'm following strictly the Microsoft recommended naming conventions. So in case if you want to create multiple slots, these names or these unique IDs are going to be helpful. So you can call 001, 002. So you can create as many app services with the same name, and it is giving a lot of flexibility for the scaling your architecture with the naming conventions and following. So this is for API 1. So let's say I have identity service, email service, payment service, search service, product service. Accordingly, I've given all the names to the API. So these are my parameters. And then going back to the variables. So this is the variable for the .NET framework version, and this is the current runtime stack. And in terms of the resources, I need 2 app service plans, the server forms, one for websites, the second one for APIs. And accordingly, I have created app website 1, and this is the app service application insight for website 1. This is the website 2 script and website 2 script application insights. And the same thing, API, this is the API 1, API 1 application insights. So let's take a look at the APIs. For example, if you go to application insights, so these are the application insights, same name as the API or app. So those are the resources created as part of this script. It is pretty much copy pasted the same script with giving the sequence number. So in your organization, if you want to extend the script for multiple applications, so if you got a request to add new API, you are quickly going to copy paste this and just commit the code. That's all. So it's it's not even 30 minutes job to create another new instance of the API or the app. If you are keeping your script up to date, or if you keep the RM template scripts are so powerful and so handy when you are scaling, adding more and more APIs or the websites to the existing infrastructure. So that's how you're going to create or manage your RM template script for websites or API creation. Let's take a look at the parameter file. So I've created 3 parameters for each environment, one for dev, one for production, and one for test. And if you see, I have the plan 1 name and plan 2 name, and same thing, website 1, website 2, and then I have multiple APIs and their separate names. So the only difference for each parameter here is the environment. If I go to productions, I will say prod. The rest are going to be the same. In press the test, I will have the test script. So this is how you will create. I've already created templates, created a parameter file, committed the code. So that's our the lab. These are the labs we were talking about: creating RM template script for websites, creating RM templates for APIs. Now let's prepare the code for website before deploying. So I already have my Blazor code here, and this website is created using the Blazor. If I want to run quickly, I'm not going to spend time on creating this. So I will be making maybe another series on the Blazor, how to create the application using the Blazor. So this is a sample Blazor application. It is the same application I'm showing running. So this is my local host, and the application I'm running here is the live hosted website. So this website purpose is to provide our the architecture series on a different topics. So I've selected different technology stack like web APIs. This is the Azure Reference Architecture series we were talking about. I made a couple of videos on the APIs. So I'm going to talk about the microservices, AKS, also the enterprise level Azure, and finally the Blazor apps too. So if you are new to this website, I would recommend to explore this. I've also mentioned the list of technology stacks used throughout this website creation for different topics. So that's about the website. So this is running locally. The website is accessible. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain how to host this, deploy this website using the Visual Studio Code. So in order to deploy the Visual Studio Code, so stop this running locally, then click on the project and say publish. So if you are creating for the first time, click on new. I'm going to publish this to the Azure. So if you are doing for the first time, you may want to, for the testing purpose, you will be using the Visual Studio Code and deploying to Azure for the first time. But in reality, you are going to, create the CI/CD for this website. So I'll show you that in a minute. So this is how you select. Once the subscription is selected, email ID is selected, subscription is selected, and the resource group. So the resource group is selected here. And since we already have APIs or the apps created, I think I forgot to run the script from Visual Studio Code, the RM template script. So I will run that in a minute. So assume that I ran the Azure resources creation through the Visual Studio Code, and I will select the service from here. So this is my Blazor app. So the Blazor app is going to be deployed here, let's say, and click on next. So if you want to create the CI/CD part of this exercise, you can select that, but I'm just going with the publish file and then say finish, and then finally click on publish. So it's going to publish to the service which is created already in the Azure. So since if you are creating for the first time, this may take 1 or 2 minutes to launch the URL once the code is published to the Azure. So now the code is published to the Azure. This is the live URL. If you want to access the course, for example, you can access the course from here. So that's how you are going to publish from the using the Visual Studio Code for the first time. As I mentioned, you will not be publishing from the Visual Studio Code all the time. This is only for the first time. So as I mentioned, I forgot to show you that running the RM template script. So once you create the RM templates PowerShell parameter file here, I'm going to run this RM templates using the Visual Studio Code. So the same project I have opened in a Visual Studio Code. So you can use either Visual Studio or the Visual Studio Code, pretty much the same. So I'm having some issue. Normally you can deploy, click on right click and deploy and select, and I'm getting some error here. So that's why I'm using the Visual Studio Code. So the Visual Studio Code, in order to deploy the RM templates using the Visual Studio Code, is I'm using this PowerShell script, which is actually creating the resource group deployment. So what you need to do is you need to just pass the RM template part of this PowerShell file. So you need to say the resource group name and the location, and then pass the RM template here. So make sure that you are in that same folder when you are running script. So I am already CD to the same folder. I can quickly run that PowerShell file. So what this PowerShell file is going to do is it will create all these resources listed as part of the RM template. So I'm rerunning the script. This is in incremental mode, since this is already created for the first time. So this is going to be quicker. It may not take longer this time. So the script execution is quicker. So it just validated and reran the script. And if you go back, so you will still be able to see those resources as expected. So it created all the apps, APIs, also the app service application insights required are created as part of this RM template. Let's go back to the agenda. So we prepared the website code and then deployed the website code using the Visual Studio Code. Same thing, prepare the API code and deploy using the Visual Studio Code. So I'm using this feedback service for the demo for running this. So if I run this application locally, let's quickly see the application API is running locally. So the same API, I'm going to host it in the Azure API app. So just to confirm that this API is working as expected, I have a lot of APIs used inside the application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish using the Visual Studio. So you can click on the publish, and you can click on New, select the Azure as an option, and I'm going to use the Windows existing resource group. I'm going to publish to the feedback service, which is created as part of the RM template script. So I'm going to skip the APIM. So there will be another video targeted for the API management in the future. So I'm going to bypass that for now, and let's say publish to the API app created as part of the RM template script. Again, if you are publishing for the first time, this may take 1 or 2 minutes, but if you are creating for the second time, so if you are publishing for the second time, that might not take longer than more time. So now this is the API. I see when you deploy it for the first time, if you see these kind of errors, you need to make sure that you need to know how to debug these kind of issues. So it is very important to understand where to look for the errors. So I purposely kept this error, this API actually connecting the Azure keyword. So Azure keyword doesn't have permissions to access this application. So that's why I'm getting this error. So in case if you are new to Azure, if you are looking for the to look at the event logs or the debugging information, so you can select the service. So I'll go to the service. For example, this is my service. Click on the diagnose and solve problems, and then click on the diagnostic tools. If you want to see the event log information, this is how you are going to access. Now you see that the error here, we are getting the error part of the line number 37 in the program.cs. So that is basically trying to connect to the Azure keyword. I think I got that in the here. So what I'm going to do is just for fixing the issue. So I've already created a script here. So I'm going to bypass the keyword just for the demo. But in order to fix this issue, I have to correct the keyword and provide access to the service. So that is something I've already discussed part of my .NET Core API videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to republish, quickly rebuild, and republish the code and show that, make sure that the Swagger is accessible. So click on publish. So I'm going to use the same publish file created. So this time the app setting is going to override. So there may not be much changes. So now this is my base URL. Make sure that you are entering the Swagger the feedback service.index.html. This is the live API now hosted in the Azure API app. So that's how you will be publishing from using the Visual Studio Code. Let's go back to the agenda. Now, once you are happy with deploying the code using Visual Studio Code locally, the next step is automating these deployments. So automate the deployment for the website, automate the CI/CD, create the CI/CD for the APIs. So I've already created a couple of videos on these topics previously. So if you're new to how to create a CI/CD pipeline for the website, so I've already created a video on this as part of the .NET Web API Clean Architecture series. So if you go here, lab 16, how to deploy API to the Azure pipeline. So create a CI/CD pipeline for API app, same thing, CI/CD pipeline for SQL. So a web app and API app CI/CD pipelines are going to be pretty much same. I'll quickly walk through the CI/CD pipelines created part of the those videos. But in case if you are looking for the details, you can look at those videos here. Those videos have the details. So this is the CI/CD pipeline for the API, for example. So it's a .NET Core, restore, build, test, and publish artifacts. Those are the default template values, and this is the release pipeline I created for dev, test, and production. So this is going to have two tasks. Sorry, one task, which is actually publishing to the Azure. So you need to give the subscription details. You need to specify the package, and then you need to specify the app service type. App service type is a Windows app service name. That's all you need to give it for the in order to create the release pipeline for the website. Now going back to the continuous integration and deployment for the API and continuous integration deployment for websites. So pretty much whatever I've explained, that is applicable for websites and APIs. Now, continuous integration deployment for RM templates. Again, this is something I've already discussed as part of this video. Deploy RM templates using the Azure DevOps. So if we want to show you quickly, go to RM template. So this is the RM template release pipeline. So the task I've used is the copy file, basically copying all the files from the RM templates and then finally keep it in the draft folder. In the release pipeline, this is the release pipeline for RM template. So I have one resource group, one RM template deployment task for resource group. Second one is for the virtual directory, and third one is the app service plans and the APIs. So in this particular task, again, this is something already discussed in details in the previous videos. So this is the resource group you need to specify. I'm going to deploy to the dev stage. So provide the resource location, and then I'm going to do the template location, which is the linked artifacts, and then provide the template name and provide the parameter file name. So if I go to test, so I haven't added yet. So you can clone the existing one and create the same as the dev. So that's how you are going to create the RM templates using in the release pipeline. So the last topic for in this episode is how to configure the web app settings. So the configuration settings, for example, in my API app, for example, I have a couple of app settings. So this information is replaced by the keyword. Some of the information is replaced by app settings, for example. So how do I configure these app settings or the configurations inside the app service app services inside the Azure? So if you want to do any configuration, so this is my existing service. So click on the application, and then once you select that, you click on the configuration. So you will be able to see these are my keys, the application settings. So the way application setting works here is you have to follow the hierarchy. For example, if I want to keep this keyword, bypass keyword or the keyword name in the application configuration. So you start with the application setting, for example, here. And then there are two underscores here, 1 and 2. And then you are going to have the nested tag, keyword name, for example, the keyword, bypass keyword. And then specify the value if you want to make it true or false. So that's how, or if you want to apply this to the deployment slots, you can select this so that the same configuration is going to be applied to your deployment slots also. So I'm going to make another video on the deployment slots, but for now, in case if you want to apply any of the configurations to the deployment slots, so you will be checking that. So you can add as many app setting you want here. So this is how you create, add new, and then provide the key and value and select the deployment slots if it is applicable, and then finally you save it. So that's how you save it. So when you save it initially, it will be hidden. If you want to see, you can click on the show values so that you will be able to see values here. That's how you are going to configure the application configurations inside either API or the websites. So if you want to see monitor the live traffic, so I will make another video on the application insights, but in case if you are looking for monitoring the live traffic, so you can click on the application insights, and there is a live metrics. So if you see the live metrics, you can see all the request response details in case if you are getting any exceptions during the application run, you will be able to see this. That's all for this video. I hope this video is helpful to you. Always, I would expect you to provide the feedback. That would help my future videos. And in case if you see that the video playback speed is really slow, so you can adjust accordingly in the YouTube so that you want to make it faster or slower as per your convenience. And always look into the website for the latest details I go so that I will post all the latest information. And again, if you are new to the website, want to look at the existing previous videos, always when watching the previous videos. So you can look at different topics if you are interested in .NET Web API. So this is the path to look into the Web API series. And if you are interested in Azure, you can look at Azure part or the AKS. So AKS is yet to start, but I will be posting more videos on different topics. Thank you very much for your time so far.